Hi everyone, Paul here from FamilyWheels.ca with another car review for your growing family. And let's start off this week with a bit of a pop quiz. If I were to ask you to name a car that is exceptionally reliable, has great resale value, has a seriously loyal core group of buyers, it's the most popular car in its segment, while at the same time being kind of boring, which vehicle would you name? If you chose the Toyota Camry, you win the pop quiz. But hang on a second. It's not a boring car. This is the 2018 Camry, the 8th generation of this vehicle, and it's kind of turning that reputation for this car on its head a little bit. It looks good, doesn't it? And when I asked Toyota Canada what their target demographic is for this latest Camry, they surprised me by saying people in the age range between 35 and 45 years old. And I'm wondering if this rather bold change in design is going to be biting the hand that feeds it, if it's still going to appeal to that long-time loyal demographic. They've got a lot of new technology on board this car, some great new standard features. So I want to jump inside with you, spend a week on board this thing and see how it stacks up this week here on Family Wheels. So what's new in the 2018 Camry? Well, quite a lot, actually, pretty much everything, but perhaps most significantly, this car now joins a number of other vehicles in the Toyota lineup and jumps onto the global design platform that the company plans to use for much of its vehicle lineup in the coming years. And Toyota says that being on this new platform means that this should be the most exciting Camry they've ever made. There's also a brand new 4-cylinder engine on board, putting out best-in-class fuel economy, or there's the optional V6 if you want the extra juice, and then carrying over from previous generations, you still have the option of a hybrid power plant as well. Something else that's a real standout in this latest Camry is standard equipment, because at its starting price of $26,590 up here in Canada, what you get is really solid. An 8-speed automatic transmission, LED headlights and tail lights, heated front seats, a 7-inch infotainment system featuring Toyota's new Entune software, and of course Toyota Safety Sense now comes standard on all trims as well. That gives you pre-collision autonomous braking, pedestrian detection, adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, auto high beams. You would have had to have spent $80,000 on a luxury high-end vehicle just a few short years ago to get that kind of smart safety tech, and now we're seeing it on all Camrys, and Toyota's really leading the charge on that front. And speaking of safety, the Toyota Camry, this latest generation, has just been tested by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, and it tops out with the very best rating that you can get, a Top Safety Pick Plus rating from that organization. Now, one piece of safety kit that you can't get at all in the Camry, no matter what trim, is all-wheel drive. And that's something that really sets the Subaru legacy that we were in just before the holidays apart from the rest of the competitors in this class. Now, if you really wanted to, you could spend up to $41,000 on a V6 leather-wrapped panorama sunroof-equipped XLE trim of the Camry. But what I'm in here this week, this SE trim, is hands down the most popular trim for Canadians, with over twice as many SEs sold in Canada so far this year over any of the other 10 trim choices available for you in the Camry. So, what makes the SE so popular? Well, you've got some slightly sportier styling. You've got this body molding on the outside, some skirting that makes it look a little bit edgier. Paddle shifters and leatherette trim seats give it a bit more of a youthful makeover, perhaps appealing to that younger buyer that Toyota has its sights on. And we also have the rather worthwhile $2,900 SE upgrade package on board, which offers up larger 18-inch alloy rims, blind spot monitoring, a smart key with push-button start, wireless charging dock for your smartphone, and a larger 8-inch infotainment system screen. The end result is a car that, as tested here this week, comes in at just over $30,000 Canadian before tax. That's super competitive for all the kit that you're getting on board this car. But if you really want to stand out with your Camry, there's the new XLS trim, which looks kind of bonkers for a Camry. You have the option of red leather in that vehicle. It also has suede accents on the inside. You've got a blacked out roof, which is optional, as well as 19-inch rims. Definitely not your granny's Camry. If all this talk of new platforms and engines and sporty styling has you excited to lay down some rubber in your Camry, I wouldn't go and sell your muscle car quite yet. The new Dynamic Force 4-cylinder 2.5 liter engine that you get in the base trims of this car is designed to deliver power when you need it and efficiency when you're just cruising. But I'm finding that sudden requests out of this engine when you need a sudden burst of power to pass someone on the highway or you're going up a big hill, those demands are kind of falling on deaf ears a bit here. The power delay is pretty palpable, and then when it does kick in, it can be kind of abrupt and a little bit jarring. Now, of course, if you want more reliable power, you can always opt for the V6, which gives you 98 more horsepower, and it would be the choice that I'd probably go for if I was planning to do a lot of highway driving in this vehicle. However, of course, it's going to be a thirstier option for you. If you're doing more city driving in this car and you don't need a lot of oomph, if you don't like having a lot of power under your belt, then the 4-cylinder might be just fine. And if you want even better fuel economy, there's the hybrid option, which I'll be doing a full follow-up review of next week, so make sure to check that out, and if I've already posted it, I'll be putting a link right up here for you. But I'll be honest, while Toyota suggests best-in-class fuel economy for this 4-cylinder that we're driving and pegs it between 5.7 and 8.1 liters per 100 kilometers, I'm seeing my numbers skewing to the thirstier side. In fact, we're averaging 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers this week. That's a pretty even split between highway and city driving. That's exactly the same as the number that we got in our test of the turbocharged and much more exhilarating to drive new Honda Accord that we were in a few months ago, despite the fact that we were faced with kind of fuel-sucking sloppy snow throughout our week of driving in that test. And the new Accord kind of wins out in a few other departments for us too. The interior in the Camry is a big step up. It looks far more contemporary, and it's a quieter ride at 63 decibels at 100 kilometers an hour. But fit and finish wise, much of the switchwear still feels chiclety under your hand, and many of the plastic surfaces seem a bit cut rate. And then there are the seats, which, like many of the other Toyotas that we've been testing these days, just don't seem to offer the support that you'd want for long haul drives, and they just kind of seem flat bottom. They're just not quite on par with some of the other vehicles that we've seen, like the Hyundai Sonata or the Honda Accord. Now, on the infotainment system front, Toyota has been slow to the party with smartphone integration, and many have complained that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto haven't been available. Well, Toyota's heard that call, and for 2018, they're using the new Camry and the Sienna minivan to launch their new Entune infotainment system. The interface way easier to use for things like controlling the radio or calling people up on your phone, and the screen is crisp and clear. It looks good, but Toyota, citing privacy and data concerns, has opted to go with Scout GPS rather than Google Maps. But you know, just a quick scan of the initial reviews online, not looking that good for both Scout and Entune. Customers don't seem that thrilled with it, and I've got to be honest, I'm kind of finding the same here this week. I'm finding that the mapping software not always taking me on the most direct route to my destination, which is kind of a pain. It's kind of convoluted to use. I've had to download multiple apps on my phone, and I've got a relatively modern Android. It's one of the latest generations, and these apps are still crashing on that phone. It's been kind of a pain this week. Now, in a time when we're really seeing the interiors of vehicles getting bigger, Toyota's done something interesting here with the Camry. The second row dimensions really haven't changed much at all for 2018, and that means that it's a bit tighter than I expected it to be, quite honestly. I'm 6'2", pretty tall guy, and with my driver's seat the way I like it, there's not nearly as much second passenger legroom as I'd hoped for. If my wife's driving up front, she's 5'7", I can sit back there with a reasonable amount of comfort. But it's our rear-facing car seat test that was a bit of a surprise to me. In the Honda Accord, we had 31 inches from the back of the front passenger seat cushion up to the glove box. Here in the Camry, 27 inches, which is a squeeze. And considering that this car goes head-to-head with the Accord, we saw much better legroom out of that vehicle than we're seeing here in the Camry. Now, if you are a family looking at this car, you've probably got a lot of stuff to pack around, and the trunk here on the Camry also hasn't changed much dimensions-wise from the previous generation. We have 427 liters of trunk capacity, which does put it behind both the Hyundai Sonata and the Honda Accord, but it does fit our standardized trunk test just fine with a bit of room to spare. That's a stroller, a diaper bag, a backpack, a couple bags of groceries, and a soccer ball. And we also have a 60-40 rear split, so if you need just a little bit more space for longer items and you don't need to use the back seat, you've got that as an option too. But we don't have a center pass-through, so if you want seating for 4 yet you want to be able to throw a longer item down the middle, like say skis or fishing rods, not going to be an option here in the Camry. Well, I have to say, I was excited to see this new Camry. With its sporty lines, its updated interior, it just seems far more contemporary. It looks good from the outside, its ride is composed, it's quiet, and standard kit on all trims, especially those safety features, is rock solid. But the power that I'm getting out of this 4-cylinder, the fit and finish on the inside, the surprisingly tight second row, and that smartphone integration out of this new infotainment system all felt kind of flat for me. But I want to know what you think of this thing. Maybe you've already got one sitting in your driveway. Let us know your pros and cons by leaving a comment below, subscribing while you're at it, and we'll see you a week from now with back-to-back Camry reviews. We'll have that hybrid for you in 7 days from now, right here on Family Wheels.